Well, thank you for coming to speak to us, Roy, and it's nice to see you here. You were signed in September 1966 by Willie Cunningham.
That's right, yeah.
What made you come to Dunfermline from Hearts?
Well, I had no intentions of going anywhere. It was a real surprise when I was taken into Tommy Walker's office and he said he's had an offer for me. In fact, he said, I've had 2 offers for you. And I went, oh, offers for what? I had no idea what he was talking about. I was even thicker then than I am now. And he said, well, there's 2 teams inquired about you, Dunfermline Athletic and St Johnstone. And I said, yeah. He said, we're letting you talk to the managers with a view to leaving the club, which was a great surprise for me because I was in the Hearts team. I'd been captain. Things, as far as I'm concerned, were going quite well. So that was a bit of a surprise. So Tommy Walker made arrangements to go to Perth first and see Bobby Brown. Had a bit of a chat. Wasn't really keen to go that far away kind of thing. And Dunfermline were doing well. They were in Europe, and so that was a big attraction. Anyway, I made the run to Perth and I had a good old chat with Bobby Brown. And to cut a long story short, I told him that no, it wasn't going to be for me. And he said to me, you'll regret this for the rest of your life. I don't think so. So I made my way down to see Willie. And it's so funny this how Willie did it because he was a right lad, Willie. And he took me into his office and he just, Willie, a big Irish boy, big hands, that he smacked the contract down on his desk like that. And he says, there's the deal, take it or leave it. Just like that, you see. So I picked it up, had a quick look at it like that, and I went, that looks quite good. And as soon as I said that, he just grabbed it off me, opened the door, and he says to me, Jimmy, I tell you he would sign. Jimmy Conwell, the secretary, was outside waiting for with the paperwork. And that was going to be typical of Willie. That was me finding out how Willie was by nature. He knew exactly what he wanted, and it was a done deal before I walked through that door. He was hugging me, and that was it. And we just sat down and talked about the future, and what we're doing, son, and we've got a European game coming up against that Norwegian team. FC Frigg.
You played that same night.
Right, so that was my introduction into Dunfermline, was a European game, and you don't get any better than that, do you? Well, of course we did. We beat them anyway, so it did get a bit better. So that was how I finished up here, just by pure things going round and round. It was best thing ever happened, wasn't it?
Did you play in Europe with Hearts?
I did play in Europe with Hearts. Yeah, I had a wee bit of a taste of Europe, but only quite brief. My introduction was taken to Milan by Hearts when I was about 18, but not to play. I sat in the stand with a couple of other young boys just to get the flavour. So that was my introduction. And I played against, I think I played a couple of games. I think we got knocked out in the first cup by Lausanne, Switzerland. And these days, in the olden days, we played there, got draws, and then you tossed up to see where the venue would be for the final game, sort of thing. That's unheard of now. Just tossing a coin. So we lost the toss and went back to Switzerland and got beat. So that's my last kind of memory of playing in Europe, with Hearts anyway. And then it took off big time with Dunfermline, fortunately.
Because when you came here initially, you played at right half. Is that right?
I did. I think Jim McLean was still the centre back and captain, and then I went into kind of. I was playing that with Hearts, kind of right half to sort of sweeper, but initially I'd been a kind of inside right, and then they moved me back. I must have been getting slow and slow to get moved me back. But I stayed any longer, I'd been in goals. So I finished up right half here, and then Jim had a lot of injuries, and I just slotted into centre half along with and Jim Fraser came in, and we played double centre half. That was a really good partnership. Jim and I got on really well together. I had a lot of respect for Jim.
What was Jim Fraser like as a player? Because he appeared as quite quiet.
He was.
Yeah.
Jim was just quiet and got on with his business and didn't shout or say much. Just got about the business, did all the right things. I did all the shouting, and he just kind of covered up. Just a terrific guy. Good player. Just a terrific player.
Yeah. Because you could probably reel off the defence At that time,
That's right,
in the
yeah.
60s, you could reel off the defence every week.
With the two fullbacks. And that was a great advantage, being able to just say, there's your back four. And we were fortunate most of the time, injuries, until Jim got his bad injury. But up until then, as you say, Christine, it was like, there's a keeper. And that's a great thing for a manager, isn't it? That's that done and dusted, and then look at your midfield and so on and so on. So we were really lucky in that respect. That was good fun.
That season, you said you played FC Frigg that season on the day that you arrived, but you also then played Dynamo Zagreb as well.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that was a bit. We was robbed, as the saying goes. Oh, it was outrageous because we I think did we draw? Did we beat them 2-0 here? When it was 2-2 here, and they beat us 2-0 there. It was 4-2 in aggregate. That's right, wasn't it? And they got a penalty over there to kind of seal the game. And I always remember coming off the pitch, and I think it was an Eastern Bloc referee. Why they would do that, I've got no idea. But the guy was at like yards offside, and we just kind of looked. It's offside, and it was one of these play-on things. We just couldn't believe it. I'll go public with this. You can't say this very often, but the referee's an out-and-out cheat. Honestly, from the word go, I know I've had my run in with referees, but I know it's a hard job for them. But there's no question in my mind that on that particular night, that referee was an absolute cheat. He gave them the game, and that's what was so annoying because we were doing quite well, and I feel we could have progressed that year, but we got knocked out, and that was the end of it. But it's bad enough getting beat, as you can understand, but to get beat like something so dodgy, and it was dodgy.
What were the games like then in your first season here? Because it was the following season that was the cup season, but your first season, because you started in September and you went off. So.
Well, it was funny because I was a bit apprehensive at the start because I came over from Edinburgh and I was kind of the new boy kind of thing. I was a bit concerned. I didn't show it, but in myself, I was a bit concerned about meeting up with these foreign folk, i.e. Fifers. Because when I was a boy, this is where I came for the holidays. And when I come with Mum and Dad to Kinghorn and coming across the bridge, my dad was a taxi driver, so we'd sometimes get the ferry. I thought we were leaving the country, literally, and coming to Fife, get your passport stamped and all that stuff. But that's what it was like to me when I came. I thought, I'd heard about the guys and their wicked sense of humour, and they are, I've got to say, I'm a Fifer myself now. I've been here quite a few years, living here for actually it was 9 years last weekend that I moved up, so I'm a Fifer. But then it was so funny because people like John Lunn and Willie Callaghan, they trick you and get you to do stupid things and that. And John Lunn was a right comedian. What was he used to say to me? Are you having what do you call turnip? What was it? No, and there's another. Tumshes. There was something John used to say to me, and it was a Fife expression. And I used to say, what's he talking about? Didn't know what John was talking about half the time. Because of the accent and everything was totally different, although it's only a few miles across down the road sort of thing. It was totally. So I was the kind of odd man out. So needless to say, they would take the mickey out of me. But it suited me because you feel like you're fitting in. Being a new face and everything. It always takes time when you get transferred to a new club. And it was the same when I moved on as well. But they were just a great bunch of guys, right from the start. There was not one player that stood off from Edinburgh. Who does he think he is, sort of thing. It was tremendous, right? The Kale. John we used to go down the town for our lunch. He in the Kale. And I said, what's he talking about? I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. And the other one he introduced me to, this is a classic. You in the electric tea. Oh, what's electric tea? What's he talking about that? You had a wee, this in the winter, you had a wee measure in his pocket. And we trained already. And he would just go, into my tea. I said, what are you doing? He said, electric tea. He says, bro. Fantastic. And I said, are you sure? He went, it's great for you. And that was Lunny. It was just brilliant, electric tea. So I still drink electric tea, by the way. And electric coffee. Oh dear. They were great boys.
What were the others like then? Because you had to Callahan, you had Jim Thompson, Jim Fleming, Bert Payton, Alec Edwards.
Well, most of they were quite quiet serious. Bert Payton was always fairly quiet, very, very serious about everything. And now, don't get me wrong, I was serious about the football, but I liked to laugh. But Bert didn't get involved in too many sort of nonsense, if you like. But I didn't mind a wee bit of nonsense. Alec Edwards was always up for a bit of fun. But we're just good guys. Most teams are a good mix, you know. I always found it being in the army, because you travel together and you work together and you showers together and you did all kind of things together. And that kind of suited me. I think I was army material. I was very, very focused on what I was doing at the time. And the trainer at Hearts, he was my mentor. I honestly say that. As a boy, like 15 and 16 there, he was an ex-regimental sergeant major with HLI, and you had certain standards that you had to adhere to. And it was great about looking after yourself, being smart, you know, just natural things, but some people don't do it. And John Harvey was always up for looking after yourself, making the thing, be right about everything. And I took that on board, and I always tried to kind of be like that. The funny thing is, he made a stand, and so our socks was on the same level, and you never wore your shirt outside your shorts. Never. That was a firing squad job. The socks were there, your shirt was tucked in, and everything had to be right. He would inspect your feet to make sure you were cutting your toenails, didn't want any problems with injuries with a toenail or anything like that. And he'd inspect your hands. And really, it was just like being in the army. So I kind of took that on board, and then that's the way I was. Probably really boring to some people, but I used to get to the games 2 hours before kick-off and everything. I used to prepare things. And even now, I get on Jane's nerves. OCD, she says to me, the fridge is like immaculate. But it's not totally a bad thing as long as you're not too much, sort of thing. So that was Johnny Harvey. And then when I moved here, I was like that. I was always first in. And my nickname was Pugsley, after Captain Pugwash, the cartoon character. And that was Alec Edwards that gave me that. And you did hear wee Mickey saying in the dressing room, "Oh, didn't you talk to Pugsley? No, before the game." This would be hours before the game, because I was totally away on my own somewhere else.
So you were totally focused on what you were having to do.
And I quite enjoyed that, and I was quite chuffed to myself for being like that. And they used to rib me about it, but that was how I was, and I think it paid dividends in the end to be that focused. And anyway, now the great thing about, I think, in football, people don't concentrate enough. They don't focus enough. The daydream. I'm sure some players now, I'm not referring to our team, by the way, but I'm sure players are thinking about what they're doing at night sometimes when they're on the park, because the ball goes past and they go, oh, you can see by their body language they're not paying attention. And I think that stems from school and right through your juvenile football and everything. So I was lucky that I played for juvenile teams as well that always had good trainers, people that were really focused on what they were doing. So I just took it on here.
And then when you came here, would it be Andy Stevenson then?
Wee Andy, that's right, yeah. Wee Andy was good, very strict, and it's the usual thing about a good guy, bad guy kind of thing. And Andy was very strict, and then we had Bob Medvin, who would be the good guy kind of thing. And but Andy was strict as well, so it was good for me to meet up with somebody who was strict, because I quite sort of revelled in that.
What was Willie Cunningham like as a manager then?
I liked Willie. Because Willie was a big defender, wasn't he? And Jock's team had him at the back, and he played a sweeper, and he was a big, hard individual, no nonsense, get on with your job, and that was it. Just a big, friendly, off the park, a big, friendly Irishman that liked life. And then you get him on the park, and I liked him because he was dead serious in what he was doing. So him and I, we got on really well together. And then the big thing for me is when he said to me, would I like to be captain? I mean, why would I not like to be captain of this team? And I went, oh, aye, that's for sure. I'll be captain. And then all of a sudden I'm starting thinking, which I shouldn't have done it, I suppose. Oh, the boys think. You know, me coming across from Edinburgh and now being captain kind of thing. But the thing is, it was easy for them to accept, because they all considered themselves to be captain anyway. So we had a good group captaincy, if you like. I mean, look at, you're talking about wee Willie. Willie's a captain. Bert Payton was, if you can, my captain as we progressed. So there was captains in the team already. So I went, well, we can all be captain. But the last thing, I was captain sort of thing, which I was really, really proud of. That was my wee special thing.
You must have played in some really good games, and one I'll probably mention is in fact that season is the 5-4 game against Celtic here at East End Park when Celtic won 5-4.
No, I can't remember that.
Now I'm going to ask you this because those who probably were at the game, and I was one of them, we felt we were diddled that day.
Aye, we was robbed again.
But then there's something about Celtic's penalty. Was it a penalty, the fifth goal?
Wait, it was to me. No, it was one of these. I couldn't get to it, and I punched it, but I denied it. Cool, I must have denied it for about 40 years or so. I touched it, but I did quite recently admit it to an elderly gentleman who came up to me, and he, the same as yourself, Christine, he just wanted to know the truth once and for all, kind of thing. You say, and I just went, I punished it. Went, oh no, see, I tell everybody, didn't he? So he was a bit disappointed. So I admitted it after all. It was just one of these things, and I denied it at the time. Obviously, I denied it to the referee. And it was just
Tiny Warren that was the referee.
Was it Tiny? Oh, it was a Tiny. I think that was the game. Classic, another story with Jimmy Johnson. You know how Jimmy was. You know how Jimmy was. And I tackled him on the byline, kind of blocked the ball, and we both fell down. And as he got up, he kneed me right on the chin. Yeah. And that time, I went like that. And big Tiny, Tiny was standing right there. I said, "Did you see that, Mr. Wharton?" He says, "Yes, Mr. Barry. Got on with the game." And I thought, what chance have we got? Me Jimmy run away laughing at himself and everything. You know. Well, it just a wee incident. There was a lot of incidents, and you just have to let go, like get on with it. And I just got up and fair enough. So okay, next time. But that's how it was against
Games
Celtic.
between Dunfermline and Celtic.
Oh, it was fantastic. That was the ones we sort of loved to play them. The classic for me. I mean, we had quite a few, as you say, big games against them. The classic was knocking away the cup in the first round, after the press actually speculating who Celtic might meet in the next round before they even played us. So that was an important one as well. But there was lots of big ones. The other one that we played them here, and they'd won the league. They won the league and we won the cup, sort of thing, in the last game of the season. That was a terrific game as well. The quality of these games were always fantastic, weren't they? I mean, there was never a Celtic Dunfermline game you're saying, oh, but poor today. Everybody left elated in some degree or other. So yeah, there were always memorable occasions and everything. It was like playing against Celtic. And the great thing is, I only found out only a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that they enjoyed it as much as me. Because I was at Celtic Park as a guest of this chap, and I was eventually finished up in the boardroom after the game. Not my choice, but anyway, I finished up in the boardroom, and Billy McNeil come over. He put his arm around me. "Oh, how are you getting on? You're looking really good." I said, "Oh, thanks, Billy, thanks very much." He says, "Wait a minute," and he starts shouting, "The boys! It was the day the Lisbon Lions were guests, and next thing I'm surrounded by all these Celtic boys who I used to kick lumps out of." Billy's got his arm around me, wee Bobby Lang, and say, "Yeah, you couldn't catch me." And Stevie Chalmers says, "I want to chat," and stuff. It was fantastic, you know. And Bertie Auld, who Bertie and I were always at loggerheads with each other. I mean, I got sent off for retaliating once. I won't go into the details, but I got sent off because of him. But he was there. "How are you getting on? It's great to see you." And I was quite overwhelmed by it all. Remember that time? And I'm looking at them going, "Are they kidding me on?" Because I kicked you as much as, no, didn't mean to kick them, but it was a hard physical game against Celtic, and they gave as good as they got, sort of thing. But to have them come round like that proved that they enjoyed the Barney as well, if you like. So that was I felt quite chuffed when I left the ground that day. It wasn't so bad after all.
Do you think, as a defender, then, that there was an art in defending that's not there now.
Oh, this is a lot of speculation in this one, isn't there? I think they changed the formations a lot. When we played, it was very much, there's your back four. And I always considered as well, I was going to say something controversial, I'm a great lover of goalkeepers. But I've always wanted great on my keepers. And I've actually spoke to Sean Murdoch about this, the relationship with the guys directly in front of you. And I used to practice things with Ben Martin. And when you used to be able to pass the ball back and stuff like that, and he would know what I was trying to do or what I was thinking, because we used to come back in the afternoons and say, if a ball goes here, where would you be, and etc. And we used to work out an area, and I would say, this is mine and that's yours, and if you don't come for something in your area, you're in trouble, and likewise with me, sort of thing. And the other thing we used to practice as well, if I got the ball in my own penalty area, I would run away to get out the box, sort of thing. But I know he would track me. I could check and pretend I was going to clear it and turn back and pass it back to him, because I knew he'd be there. So I used to work with the keepers a lot, and I was lucky at I was lucky here. I was lucky at Hearts with Jim Cruikshanks, a chap called Bill Glazer at Coventry, and so on and so on. And we used to work with each other about protecting certain areas, and what do you want me to do if such and such happens, and so on and so on. And I was with Sean at some function, and I just said, I just love keepers, because I think the whole thing stems from the keeper. What goes on with the goalkeeper goes right through the team. And I think with the goalkeeper and the two centre-backs of a wee triangle, I think that's the core of your defensive strength. And the full-backs, they do what they do now, going forward a lot more. But then they didn't do so much, although I was fortunate having Willie and John, because they used to be wingers anyway before Jock Stein made them fullbacks. So they were the first fullbacks who played as wingers as well as defenders. But I think that the core for me is the goalkeeper and the two centre-backs, and I think they should work all the time about what they want, what the keeper wants them to do, and what they expect the keeper to do. But we've been unfortunate this season again with injuries. We've hardly had the same back four out 2 or 3 times. Then it's consistency with your back four that to me is the depth of your side and where you go from there. Mm-hmm. So what was your question? Art of defending. Well, it's difficult. You can be overcritical sometimes, but I think this has been said by lots of managers in the game, that a certain Mr. Ferguson goes on about this one. He goes on about concentration. And when I speak to him about a certain player, and the first thing he says to me, how's his concentration? And I'll go, anyway, he's got a problem then. If you can't concentrate and be totally focused, there's no point, we'll just say for a centre-back or a defender of any sort, standing in a defensive position, looking at the play going down there, and no having to look around to see what's happening and who's where and who's going to be doing this sort of thing. If he's looking way down there, he doesn't know what's going on around about him, sort of thing. So I think the first focus should be here. And I see too many balls getting knocked out, not just in our games, but games I watch somewhere else. In fact, what was the one I saw the other day there? I wish I could remember. It was the English Premier, and the two centre-backs were standing. Oh, it was the Everton centre-half. They paid 47 million for this young boy, Stokes, who's a really good player. I think it was the last England game. And he's standing dreaming. And the next thing, the boy's gone. Poor concentration. That's all it is. It's just concentrating on what you're doing. And the other thing as well is working with each other. We used to just work as a back four, just moving across like that. And we used to come back in the afternoons and just work like that, work like that, work like that. And that's how it was. And you're lucky if the same back four goes out, week in and week out. You don't say anything, it's the same back four. They know they've been doing it all week. They did it last Saturday, they did it the Saturday before. Just move across as a wee team. It's fine. I think if you start trying to get too intricate with defenders are not too bright sometimes, are they? It's all that knocking the head all the time. But if you get too complicated, and they'll nod their head. Have you got that? And they'll nod their head, and yeah, and they'll walk away and go, what's he talking about? They're not taking it in. So it's better to be simple than to be too intricate and stuff.
Was it Shankland that said that it's a simple game?
played by simple people, I suppose.
But yeah, that people make it more complicated than it actually is.
That's right, yeah, definitely. Just keep it nice and simple. Get on with it. Yeah. On with it.
What who would have been your most difficult opponent, do you think?
I had trouble with we also have trouble with guys who are smaller than you and quick. So they could be difficult. I mean, there was a lot of them around. I mean, you play in Scotland, and the Scots are not a big nation, are they? There's lots of wee guys knocking around, and you had Jimmy Johnson was a classic example, and there was a guy called Bobby Graham. Bobby Graham, he played at Liverpool, and then he played at Coventry with me, and then he got transferred back to Motherwell, and he was instrument in finishing my career when I was at Hibs, because when I got transferred from Crystal Palace to Hibs, we played Motherwell in the league match, and Bobby was wee and he was quick, and that particular day I couldn't get near him, and I was getting into my sort of early 30s and getting slower, and Bobby was still quick. I couldn't get near him the whole of the first half. I couldn't kick the ball. I couldn't get the ball. He was just too quick. And at half time, the manager at the time, Eddie Turnbull, he just said to me, "You're not going out in the second half." And there was a big lad on the sideline. He was 21, this boy called Spalding. He was busting to go in the park. And that's it. See, that's when you know you're coming to the end. You've got to be aware of that. He got on. He was going to explode, wasn't he? This young kid, ready to start his career. And that was the end of mine. And that I just thought, that's it. I said, no, it's about time. And that's when I came to East Fife as kind of player manager. Subbed myself there as well. Because you know what's happening. You're just getting older and you can't do. But that particular day, the very fact that I remember that, 1976, as clear as in, I could not get close to Bobby that day. So my old pal was instrument in finishing my my time at the Hibs. But you just accept it and then you move on. It's the nature of the industry, isn't it? You have your time at a club and then you move on, whether you're sold or they don't consider you good enough or whatever. So that was it.
If you talk about the run to the cup, you spoke earlier about the fact that you knocked out Celtic in the first round.
Yeah.
Which was really a great result for the club, especially the fact that it was away from home as well.
Yeah, it was great for the profile of the club because they were the European champions, weren't they? You would beat them. There's a picture somewhere, I've got it indoors, where I'm walking off the pitch at the end of the game and my socks, I don't know what I was doing, but I must have just tossed my shin pads away and rolled my socks down because we'd been under the cosh a bit, so maybe my legs were tired or something. And I'm laughing my head off. And I'm covered in mud. And every time I look at the picture, it makes me laugh because I'm killing myself laughing because I've had such a good time and I'm so happy. Usually when you're coming off, you're a bit puffed out and everything. I was actually walking off the pitch, laughing my head off, and I think, what's wrong with me? Or another bump or something. But that was particularly enjoyable because, as I said earlier, the press had already put out on speculating who Celtic might meet in the next round. There was no need for a team talk, was there? It was just a case of, what an insult. And it was absolutely, it was just a brilliant result, wasn't it? Unfortunately, we didn't play very well in the rounds to come. You know, the Partick game and the St John, was it St Johnstone game?
St Johnstone and with Aberdeen as well. Aberdeen, Partick, Thistle and St Johnstone.
I'm not sure I played at Aberdeen.
No, I think you weren't playing.
Was I injured?
But
the other two games, we were the Partick one in particular. We were ever so lucky. I think that was just going to be our year, wasn't it? So sometimes that's how it happens. But I remember. Oh, was it Tynecastle? I think I've got it in a video or something indoors, and you know, a mad moment I put it on or something. I think we should. Because
the semi-final was against St Johnstone at Tynecastle, and it went to a replay.
I know.
Because you were, in effect, lucky in the first game.
Oh, I know.
Managed to get it 1-1.
Oh dear! When I watch it, I say, how they didn't beat us, I'll never know. Anyway, it's all history, isn't it? We won. Doesn't matter anymore. It's history.
So you went to the cup final, and it was against Hearts, your old team, and you were captain here, and George Miller
Oh no,
was
it
captain.
was so funny,
Hearts.
wasn't it?
The two of you had swapped over teams.
That's quite unique,
So,
isn't it?
Yeah. So.
And he was a big pal, isn't he?
Uh-huh.
In fact, the Hearts boy, I knew a lot of the Hearts boys really well personally. The wee boy, Roel Jensen, that played for the Hearts, came from FC Brann in Norway, in Bergen. He was my roommate at one point. And then Donald Ford, he was my accountant. And a couple of other boys were my drinking mates. So it was all there, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So it was really good to meet them. For more than that reason, but they were just, again, they were good guys. I mean, I toured the States now with these guys and played in Europe with these guys. But as soon as you come to a game, it doesn't matter if you're playing darts or snooker, you're going to beat whoever you're playing, aren't you? So that was a good thing, and it was just a great time.
Can you remember much about the game itself?
I do. I just think we played.
It just fly by? No,
it didn't just fly by. Fly by. I think we played really good football that day. Down the right, and the left sides, when we were attacking, it was nice and neat and tidy, and we're getting in there. And Bert Payton making these runs. Bert used to just make these runs, and if somebody could hit him, they would hit him. But if it didn't come, he wouldn't turn around and say, "I've made a 60-yard run, nobody give me the ball." Bert was he was a machine. He would just turn around and get back in the fray, and they'd make the runs again. And the classic one is when he made the run and Cruikshanks brought him down in the box. Bert used to make runs beyond our own front people, and that's what panicked the opposing back four, because the back four are just looking to contend with the front opposition. And all of a sudden now you're getting this charge from midfield. So there's another one coming through. So now you're saying, do we go to him? Or do we mark who we've got? Do we go forward? Do we go back? So Bert used to create confusion in the opposing back fours with these runs. And I think that particular run just told everything about Bert. And he never ever moaned if he didn't get the ball. He just went on these runs. And I tell midfield players this who I know, young lads, just make runs. Just make runs. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come. But one day it will come and you'll be in. And it creates panic in the defending back four.
Anything else that stands out then? Or did they all stand out in that team?
What, in that particular team? Wee Shuggy on the wing was always jinky. When Hugh Robertson. Alec Edwards was a way ahead of his time in terms of skill and everything. We had these two guys that were always there, no matter how the game was going. You'd have these two be going down the outside. So these were the guys, apart from Bert, that we looked at to get around the back of teams. That's how we won a lot of the games. They put good stuff in, and Pat Gardner was a big barrel-chested boy, and he got on the end of them. We just had a really good side. Willie Renton, the whole team was just good. It was just a good team. We were just lucky that everybody fitted in. Me and Big Jim just fitted in perfectly, didn't we? He used to score all the goals from set pieces. Him and I would go up for corners and free kicks, and I would never score. And I used to say to him, "How do you score all the goals?" He says, "Because they're all marking you." I said, "Oh, thanks very much, Mr. Scapegoat." But it just worked perfectly, and you get the good combination. But as I say, that man, the goalkeeper and the two centre backs is my wee. These are the boys.
In the cup final, there was obviously no celebration at Hampden because you couldn't go around the pitch at the end of the game.
I was cross about that, I can tell you. That was shocking. Nobody had mentioned before the game. We got the cup. We were ready now to do our lap of honour, show the cup to our fans and everything. How could you deny your supporters the opportunity, maybe once in a lifetime for some people, to watch your team going round the pitch with the cup? I couldn't get my head around that at all. Only because there'd been a disturbance the year before. Apparently, it was at Celtic and Rangers. There was 50,000 at our game. Hearts and Dunfermline. You're not going to get a rammy just let us run round. And the policemen wouldn't let us go round. But not even, maybe it was tactical not to say before the game, by the way, if you win it, you're not doing a lap of honour. And I tried my best to sneak out, but they were there, they were ready for us, because they would know that the boys would be keen to do a lap. The first chance I did it before, I think, with the Hearts, when we won the League Cup. So, but for some players, it would be a once in a lifetime opportunity to run round. As it turned out, we did a lap of honour here, which is bloody good. So there was a wee savour there, sort of thing. But I was so annoyed. You're getting me angry now. No, even thinking about that, what a liberty! You know, it was shocking. The only saving grace as well was getting back to Dunfermline, 10,000 people down there at the town hall. I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about that. That was just incredible. That was just such a joy that day. Just looking at all the people and everything, coming down in the bus initially, and then hanging over the balcony with the cup. That was a great day.
Yeah. Can you remember what was played?
I've got no idea. You're going to tell me, are you?
Cliff Richards. Congratulations.
Oh, of course it was. What else could it be? Oh, that was. See, these are the wee moments, and we've all got wee moments in football. But that was probably the one for me, on the balcony. And then when I met Jane and I started coming back up from London, I was down there for about 28 years, and I started coming back for games. The very first time I came back, and we were going down the high street, I went, there's my balcony. And you see now, even yesterday, I was away across, where was I? Yesterday. I was probably up in the Eastern Expansion somewhere, delivering something for Douglas. And I could see it in the distance. And even now in my head I go, there's the balcony. Or even yesterday, because it's always going to be my balcony, isn't it? For me. Oh, happy days. Great stuff.
I heard of your story today, funnily enough, when you were talking about defending and practicing on an afternoon. And it was this person who was here he was about 15 at the time and training, and they had you in training at night with, at that time, Stuart Kennedy, I think, was a goalkeeper. And you were having to sort of jump in on him when he was going for a high ball. And
just to make sort of bodily contact. Yeah, I remember that.
You kind of clattered him and maybe knocked him out, is that right?
I think so. Wasn't it? It was an accident. Do you know my first introduction? This is something I'm going to tell you. Oh, I was going to say, don't tell anybody else, but it's kind of so many of the things you say. When I was at the Heart, this is a true story, and this, only a couple of people know this, that I went to ballet school, right, to find out how to jump. I've not told you this before, because I might have told you when I'd had a few drinks one time and can't remember. But anyway, it intrigued me because when I was at the Hearts, somebody complained about the training being too hard. And Johnny Harvey, the RSM, he took us to a ballet school at Haymarket, where we used to go for lunch after training, and up the back of Grosvenor Gardens there was a ballet school, and the kids that were at the ballet school used to come down and have lunch in this restaurant as well. The young men, and of course the young girls, which was a big attraction for the boys having lunch. So anyway, he took us to the ballet school and showed us how these guys trained, because you know how their physiques are fantastic, the big legs, and we were watching them leaping up in the air, and I'm going, how do they get the height? There's a certain thing in ballet where they go from a standing position, and I can't say it, the French, but anyway, it used to intrigue me that they could get so high from a standing position. So I thought, I've got a plan. I got a couple of the guys to come back in the afternoon and hit balls in the air, and I would practice jumping for timing. And if you'd be coming down when the ball arrived sometimes, trying to get it right. And I practiced and practiced and practiced until I got it right, where I would actually jump too soon But for some reason, I was able to time it, and you look like you're hanging in the air, don't you? You know that thing you get up and you're kind of hanging. Well, it come in handy because I was only about 5'10", and a lot of the centre forwards, particularly when I went to England, were all over 6 feet. And at that time, and down there, they played big man, wee man, like with Toshik and Keegan, that kind of thing. So I had all these big 6'2", 6'3" centre forwards. But that was to come. But I thought, if I can master this hanging in the air, it gave me an advantage over a big centre half. You could get up early and kind of lean and win it. Consequently, if you didn't get it right, you headed the back of his head, which could be painful. Hence the 7 broken noses. Not 7 noses, 7. But anyway, so this is what I practiced, you see. And the other thing I used to do as a bet at training would be to stand under the crossbar and jump from a standing position and touch the crossbar with your head.
Really?
Which I used to be able to do. Right?
Could you still do it?
You're having a laugh, are you? I can hardly go out the bath. But that was something that I just went back in the afternoon and I said, just keep hitting balls and I'll get it right. And then I brought somebody else in to stand in front of me. And I would clatter them accidentally because I wasn't getting it. But eventually I got it right. So from a standing position, I'd be able to get the height early, hang, and I would get there. And then I read something in a magazine, although not particularly tall, very good in the air. And I went, oh, yes! I just felt so good about it. Somebody actually noticed that I was able to out-jump people who were taller than me, only because I went to ballet school with the rest of the guys, obviously, and learned how these guys. I'll have to look up what that phrase is, the French phrase for actually doing that movement with it.
I didn't do well.
But you've seen it, haven't you? You know what I'm talking about. I'm not making it up, honestly. No. So that was my ballet story. And I've said to somebody in the past, do you know something? I went to ballet school and knew how to write. Makes for a laugh.
Very good. So you were obviously keen to improve yourself as a player.
Oh yeah, geez. We used to afternoons. And then, just to jump forward a wee bit, when I went to Coventry, that was a new thing for me as well, was afternoons. Back in the afternoons, honestly, in groups. If you were weak on this particular thing, you were back, and the list went up. Heading practice for you, left side tackling for you, bringing the ball down for you, and stuff like that. There was never afternoons. Well, I was going to say there were never afternoons when you had an afternoon off, but there was when you got nearer a match day. But we were always back in the afternoons, practicing on your poorer things, and. It was great. Afternoon, not physical stuff, just ball work. You know, I used to love it. I wasn't doing nothing else anyway. That's another problem that the players have got. They have too much time in their hands, and I fell in that category as well. Fortunately, I didn't. Well, I'll tell you, I'll digress briefly. When I moved up from London, Douglas, Jane's brother, he says, right, he says, what do you do in your spare time? I went, why? He says, well, me and you could take up golf. Do you play darts? Do you play snooker? Do you play pool? I did none of these things. He says, what did you do in the afternoons? I said, I just used to train. Honestly, I'd never played snooker or pool or anything like that. I took up golf. It's still rubbish, but I took it up. So that's what I sometimes do in the afternoons. But when I was a footballer, my whole thing was revolved around what was going on in the ball and stuff. I hit balls at me, keep hitting them at me. So I should do more training in the afternoon. Not training as such, but skills.